Hey there everyone, what's up? Welcome to Arsenal Fan TV, and we are through to the finals yet again after a real breathtaking semi-final, to say the least, against Reading. Honestly, really am struggling for breath after that game. It was a very, very torrid and turbulent semi-final, similar to the one we witnessed against Wigan Athletic last season. But thankfully we've come through in the end thanks to two Alexis Sanchez goals, and it was not a pretty performance by Arsenal. It was by no means a performance that emulated the kind of displays we've been putting in recently, putting in 8 wins on the trot. We did not look like a team that was brimming with confidence whatsoever. First and foremost, a lot of credit has to go to Steve Clarke and Reading. They were absolutely superb throughout the course of this game, defended very well, caught us on the break. And what I admire of them especially was that they really went at it for this game. Causes a lot of problems through the likes of Pobreniak, Jamie Mackie, and their midfield was absolutely superb. Not giving any player, not giving Cazorla, not giving Ozil any time on the ball whatsoever, and especially they were doing very well at closing down Alexis Sanchez. Chalobah, the guy who's on loan from Chelsea, was absolute class in the middle of the park for them, as well as that Williams and McCleary, all very instrumental in their own individual ways in this game, causing us a load of problems and helping to bolster their midfield in the game and taking our players out of it and really reducing our creativity throughout the course of the match. Looking at Arsenal though, it was a perplexing lineup to say the least. I think when I looked at the lineup, it looked good. I mean, there was a lot of pace going forward. We had Danny Welbeck starting as the striker with Alexis Sanchez playing off him, Mesut Ozil, Santi Cazorla, Aaron Ramsey playing in behind. Certainly a lot of creativity within the side. The only thing I could probably niggle at is, first and foremost, Aaron Ramsey playing on the right-hand side of the pitch. I think this is something that realistically, it has only worked against Liverpool for us this season. It hasn't been fully tested. I don't think it worked the other weekend when we played Burnley. It completely takes out an outlet for us on that side of the pitch, especially when we don't have Hector Bellerin playing in the game. Debuchy, I thought he did okay for a first game back from injury. He wasn't superb by any means. He was prone to error at times, but he hasn't played for 3 months. He was thrown in at the deep end. And it's very strange that Bellerin was left out of the squad completely. I understand that he's played a lot of football, but he was ready for this game, match fit, and he had a week's rest for this. So, despite his age, I do think he would have been maybe more of a suitable option to Debuchy, who did look very, very tired and turbulent throughout the course of the match. So that was something that really did quiz me in a way. I think would be the best way to sum that up, because I don't think Ramsey had his best performance today. It wasn't really his day. You could tell that when he hit the post. He did some good things, and you could tell that especially when he drifted into the middle of the pitch. However, on that right-hand side, it takes out an outlet for me, and we looked a lot more lethal when Theo Walcott came on the side, dominating that right-hand side of the pitch, something Ramsey wasn't doing throughout the course of the match. And that's not Ramsey's fault. I just don't think it's it's a tactic that really works in our favour whatsoever. And of course, the big change for me was the defensive lineup. We first of all started with Szczesny in goal, get on to him a little bit later, but the fullbacks were obviously the big changes. Of course, I just mentioned Debuchy, but Kieran Gibbs had a very poor performance, if I'm going to be honest. I'm a big fan of Kieran Gibbs. I highly rate him, and I don't want to question his ability for one moment. I know what he's capable of, and I'm sure all Arsenal fans know that he's a very classy player. But today, you could tell that he hasn't played for a while. He's a player that is low on confidence. He does do some good things, but he didn't look confident. He didn't look good going forward. In fact, he barely did go forward in the match. Defensively, gave the ball away loads of times, put us in dangerous situations, and it just overall wasn't a very good performance from him. The only two real players that you think were performing to their natural standard the only real players I can pinpoint in this game are Cazorla, Coquelin, and Sanchez, of course, with his sublime work rate. Koscielny as well was another player who had a superb game today, but it just wasn't a standard Arsenal performance, and it surprised me. We went into this game as clear-cut favourites, and I don't know if it was the added pressure. We looked a bit too scared to lose the game at times, which I think cost us. We didn't overcommit in a sense, but I do think we should have been a little bit more ruthless going forward. I think we've got to remember that we are better than this Reading side. This isn't a Reading team that has the best of defences. If we'd have gone at them, if we'd have tried a little bit harder in that first half, it could have been a different scoreline. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be, and it didn't really pan out in a way that I would have hoped for this evening. But let's just take a look at the game first of all. It didn't start off particularly well. Reading actually got a very good start to the game in the opening 5 minutes. They started to press us really well, had us penned in for a good amount of time. However, we did get the ball back, but a lot of what we were doing was sideways passing. Reading were looking to catch us on the break. They certainly looked dangerous with Jamie Mackie going forward. He was the real outlet for them, and I think the officials were appalling today. There was a good chance where Jamie Mackie had a good chance to get in on goal, played onside by Mertesacker, or I think it was the trailing leg of Koscielny. He should have been in. The official didn't give it. That was a real let-off for us there. Otherwise, things could have turned out a little bit differently. But that's not to say things didn't go our way today either. There was an opportunity which Giroud had, which was given for offside as well when it wasn't. But it was poor officiating today. You can't be doing that in an FA Cup semi-final. I really am. I was going to say surprised by that, but considering the standard of English officiating, I really am not at this point in the season. But we did get our first goal, rather fortunately. The goal was very well worked, but it kind of came out of nothing for us. And it was our first real clear-cut chance created by the magician in midfield, Mesut Ozil, playing it into Alexis Sanchez. Great vision, first of all, by Mesut Ozil. Sanchez takes one defender out of the game and then places it underneath Federici, who could only just get a hand to it, but it did slip underneath him. It wasn't really a well-deserved goal, but it was a very, very well-taken goal, and it's just that bit of magic that really separates the two teams. That bit of class that really separates the divisions. It was wonderful to see our two players that cost us so much money combining in such a lovely fashion to give us that 1-0 lead. And we went into half-time at 1-0. It was a good time to score, really. It was on about the 40th minute mark, and we went in with our heads held high. Reading, you've got to say, in that period between about the 40th minute and half-time, defended very well. We did have more chances to get a goal from there on in. We looked very ruthless. As you know with Arsenal, when we get one goal, we tend to grow in confidence. We tend to dominate the opposition, and it is a fact that Arsenal do tend to score goals very quickly in quick succession. And I think Reading, certainly, you've got to give credit to them at that point in the game. It was a very difficult period of the game for them, and they held out very well. In that second half, you've got to say, again, it was poor from Arsenal. We didn't get going. We didn't look motivated, and we were punished rightly so. You've got to say it was awful defending from the throw-in. Pobremniak plays in the ball to McCleary, and it's a well-deserved goal for McCleary. But Gibbs maybe should have done a little bit better. He seemed to be out of position, but Szczesny is the one who was majorly at fault. It did take a little deflection off Gibbs. There's no getting away from that. But Szczesny, it was awful keeping from him. You've got to say, and he does. Throughout the game, he does tend to put our defenders in very, very pressurised situations. There was a chance when we went 2-1 up, and he puts the ball to Aaron Ramsey, who's surrounded by about 2 or 3 Reading players, and that's when we're holding on to a very slender lead at a very critical point in the match. I don't know why he feels the need to do this. I still go by the fact that, my opinion that he thinks he's a lot better than he actually is, and he's got to get that mindset out of him, because he was not up to standard today, and I would have concerns about him playing in the final if he's going to do the kind of antics that he was up to today. Simply wasn't good enough from Szczesny today in my eyes. But apart from that, the second half was absolutely horrible. It was really, really horrible. Reading were simply the better team throughout the course of that half, and they created one of the best chances of the game. Pobremniak gets into a situation where it's 2-on-1. Gabriel he came off a Mertesacker, and it was, from what I can recall, it was a poor clearance. He completely missed the ball, and then it comes to Pobremniak, who you can't really blame Pobremniak for being selfish, because Jamie Mackie didn't make the right run past him. He went to the left inside, and he should have gone to the outside on the right. Pobremniak has a very tame effort, easily claimed by Szczesny, and that was another let-off for us. I mean, if that had been any other team, we would have gone 2-1 down at that stage in the game, and it was a very, very difficult second half for us. We did have chances of our own. Gabriel came close. Ramsey had that shot which he really should have put in the back of the net. I don't know how he missed that one despite being with his weaker foot. Gabriel had another golden chance which didn't even go anywhere near the goal. That should have hit the back of the net as well. And overall it was a very, very scrappy second half, and the clock wore down. It got closer and closer and closer to extra time. It did go into extra time. That was pretty horrible as well, because we still didn't turn it up, but we did get a goal, thankfully, through Alexis Sanchez, and this goal epitomised the game. It was so scrappy. You've got to feel sorry for Federici. It was great work by Alexis Sanchez, first and foremost. Excellent work ethic by him today. Thoroughly deserves man of the match. He put in such a sublime performance. Takes it past a couple of the defenders, and a low shot underneath Federici. And it was really poor goalkeeping. But up until that point, Federici had a sublime performance, and I do feel a bit sorry for the guy. But one team's got to lose this game, and unfortunately it was Reading today. But fortunately for us, we are through to the final of the FA Cup thanks to 2 goals from Alexis Sanchez. The only real positive I can take from today is that we are through to the FA Cup final, which is a massive opportunity for us to retain our trophy this season, get some more silver on the board, and finish in the Premier League as strongly as possible. This is actually looking like a very promising season, but only if we do go on to do as well as we possibly can. The performance today was by no means good enough, but if we go on to lift the trophy, no one's even going to remember this game. So that's the aim now. We're going to be drawn against Aston Villa or Liverpool in the final. Either way, it's going to be a big game, and I honestly think that we should be going on now to win the trophy, but we've got to play a lot better than we did today. Of course, I think a lot of praise has to go to players like Francis Coquelin, Alexis Sanchez, obviously. A lot of good work rate was put in today by the players, but we just lacked that cutting edge, especially in the final third. But we've come out of the game with a scrappy 2-1 victory. Like I've mentioned, we're through to the final now. Leave your thoughts on the game in the comments box below. Subscribe to Arsenal Fan TV. Do make sure to check out my own channel, AFC Game by Game, and I'll speak to you very soon, guys.